that, agents thinking about that in the beginning, because you don't always think about that. You're hustling, you're grinding in the beginning. You know,
Correct.
You're building your business and you got to be prepared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Find your Emily.
Find your Emily. That's right.
Find your Emily. My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh. And joining us on this episode, loving her energy already, ready to share her knowledge within her market, we want to welcome real estate professional Kelly Cherry to the show. How are you, Kelly?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we tell our guests, thank you for accepting our invitation to be here and taking time out of your very busy schedule. We always like to acknowledge that.
Yeah, thanks.
So, I want to talk about real estate. Obviously, I love talking about it, especially in different markets. But before we even do that, I like to acknowledge the person that we have right here featured. So in 60 seconds or less, Kelly, tell us who you are outside of real estate.
Outside of real estate. Well, I've lived in this Triangle Raleigh market for 38 years. Been here a long time. I'm a mom. I got 2 kids, 5th and 2nd grade. So it's a juggle to manage little ones. I'm married. We go to a ton of NC State games. We love the Carolina Hurricanes. You know,
nice.
Health and wellness nut. So, you know, if I was to go back in a different life, I'd probably do something in that field.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Good. Family, health, real estate. It's beautiful to hear. It's all good things right there. So let's talk about where you are doing your business. You described it a little bit or talked about it, mentioned it briefly. Let's get into it. I want you to describe it before we get into your market, actually. Describe your real estate business. That's what I want to do, your real estate business. So if you can, hit on a few key points, maybe how long you've been licensed, what you would consider your niche or specialty, and or any notable achievements.
Sure. So I have been in business 10 years. I am with the firm Keller Williams, and I've been there that time. And I've worked in the Triangle area. Predominantly, I have worked with sellers, but I own my own business. So it's just me as an agent. So I do work with buyers, and I love to work with buyers as well. And I do have an admin who's my wonderful partner. She does my marketing, a lot of the back end work that, you know, so I can be out working with clients and not, you know, handling all the paperwork that kind of comes along with real estate. So
of course, you continue to chase the big fish.
That's right.
Of course. Okay, beautiful. So mostly sellers, although you do work with buyers. 10 years you've been licensed, and you've been working in that Raleigh Triangle area. The Research Triangle Park is what it's pronounced. RTP,
right.
Correct?
Well, yeah. So we have Research Triangle Park, which is a lot of pharma companies, tech companies, research. And then, you know, I work predominantly in Wake County. That's the biggest county around here. And then we have about 8 surrounding counties that most of us as brokers work around. Some of them are a little bit more rural, but as Wake County has continued to appreciate in value and home appreciation, more folks have had to kind of move out further in the surrounding counties. But there's about, you know, Raleigh, Cary, Garner, Knightdale, Clayton, Durham, Chapel Hill. So I would say they're about 30 minutes away, no matter which way you go from my office, but 20 to 30 minutes. So I predominantly work in those surrounding Wake County and surrounding areas.
Okay, cool. You gave us a little bit of introduction into it, or at least from your perspective, because we heard different agents describe the Raleigh area from their perspective, but now I like to get everyone's perspective. So continue to describe or paint the picture for your market, Raleigh, more specifically, maybe for people who may have never been to your market, and given to, like, you know, how you describe the culture, the weather, the
Yeah,
people, just overall with that market, please.
sure. Well, environmentally, our area has pretty much 4 seasons, which
Mm-hmm.
is nice. So you get your fall season, you get the leaves changing, you get the colors, but in the summer you get 95-degree weather, hot and humidity, and it's sometimes excruciating. But
Mm-hmm.
I think many people have been drawn to our area. We're continuously ranked, in the top 10 of some sort of list of best places to live. And we, have growth day after day of people moving to our area. We have a lot to offer. We are still an area with a lot of trees and not so overbuilt, but a lot more new cool restaurants. Like, you're always really changing and up and coming too. So, great restaurants. We have a lot of really good schools around here. You have
Mm-hmm.
UNC, you have Duke, you have just a lot of football games,
Right.
competing schools. You got a lot of great hospitals around here. So it's a really, really great area. I mean, I've always said, if I'm not going anywhere else, like, I'm staying here forever.
Yeah.
It has everything that I don't have a desire to go move anywhere else. It's such a great area,
Yeah.
friendly.
It
So
just seems like it's right in the middle of a lot of things. It's like it's that borderline between like the north and the south. So you get like best of both worlds. It's also like, from what I'm hearing, like a drive away from the beach, a
yes,
drive away from the mountains. The weather is like right in between. So that's why I'm kind of under, like, the more and more I hear about it, and I have been seeing Raleigh
yeah,
in one of the, like, a top 10 list of best places to live and move. And the more and more I hear about it, the more it makes sense, because it almost seems like you can get everything right there in
yeah.
Raleigh or in that area.
You can. I mean, there is so much to do. We have the Carolina Hurricanes, the
Mm-hmm.
hockey team. It's 2 hours to the beach. It's maybe 2.5 hours to the mountain. So it's just like an easy place to be. The vibe is
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I'll
All right.
tell you,
So,
in 2021, I had
mhm.
more people coming in to work with me than people leaving North Carolina. So yeah.
Nice. That's
And
always
it's
good for business.
continuously, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so let's talk more about the economic side of your market then. If you have any data statistic for us, please share, as far as like maybe the average price point, selling, listing price, days on the market, whatever type of information you have for us in that market.
Yeah. So I would say right now we have about 1.7 months worth of inventory in our market. So it's not a
Mm.
lot. It's
Hmm.
definitely more than where it was in 2021 and beginning of 2022, when we had zero point 0.3
Right.
months worth of inventory. So, I would say there's still houses that might sit on the market a little bit longer, but that might be because they're not turnkey. The houses that are turnkey, the houses that are in a great location, priced right, and the condition is good, those are still going
Right.
to move with multiple offers. And I mean, I wrote an offer on one last night for buyers, and that, after 6 days on the market, had 2 offers. So things are still moving, but because the inventory is still on the lower end, the price has not fluctuated too much. So we're at like a 99.5% list to sales price. So
Mm.
it's not gone down much, even due to like the higher interest rates that we're having.
Right. Right.
And people still got to buy. There's still life events going on. People are still downsizing, or they're moving to the area. So that really hasn't changed too much.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that the average sales price is that's one thing that might be different from our area than other areas. And we have drastically appreciated home value over the last like 2 or 3 years.
For sure.
In years past, we might have only gone up, we didn't appreciate as much as we probably should, comparing ourselves to other cities like DC or places like that. So in the
Okay.
last 2 years, the numbers have really shot up, but our average sales price might be, 470. And that's inclusive of multiple counties.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
you have to take in consideration like the outer counties that might be more rural and they're up and coming still. So, yeah.
Mm.
But in the
Okay.
Raleigh market, we probably there's many homes that are over $1 million now that 4 years ago you wouldn't have even seen them at $1 million. So, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
it's changed.
It seems so. Since I heard you say something like the appreciation in that area probably wasn't on pace to what other local markets were pretty much on, and now it is kind of getting up there. Do you feel like it's overinflated? Am I saying this right? Like overpriced, overinflated? Do you see like a huge market correction coming to that area anytime soon, or maybe just a slight one? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that there probably won't be much of a market correction on pricing in our
Okay.
area. We have too many good things going for us. And we had an economist come in who works at NC State, and he said this area is going to be one of the best areas to be in, given like taxes and, all
Good
things
point.
combined.
Right.
And
Right.
I just don't, I think our area has so much to offer
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think pricing is going to go down.
I get it. I get it.
I think I don't think it's going to go jump as much as it did in the last 2 years,
Right.
but it's just going to be on pace. It's more stabilized, maybe a little bit.
I can see that as the country is changing, the value of everything start to jump up a little bit, or I should say the price of everything rather than the value. But as things start to like increase and like I said, just the world adjusts the economy. I can understand that,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the growing economy that Raleigh and that area has. A lot more people finding more interest in it, especially the younger generation,
Yeah.
possibly like saying, okay, this is a more affordable, pleasant, slower pace place where I can raise a family
Mm-hmm.
type thing. That I can completely understand that. So
Yeah.
I just want to get your perspective on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So since we are focusing in that triangle area in North Carolina, the city of Durham has a down payment assistance program. And there's also a North Carolina Home Advantage mortgage program, which offers $15,000 down payment assistance.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently found out about this. Can you talk about both programs? Maybe talk about how they both differ and if you can combine both of these as a home buyer.
Well, I'm not a lender, so I can't give you that much detail in it. What I do know is I think that they are awesome programs for people in our community because some first time home buyers are having a hard time finding homes that are even under $350,000, and if they do, it might not be in the condition that they want it or in the location that they want it. So I think some of the first time home buyers have been outpriced. And that is a program that can definitely help them if they don't have the cash on hand to put that down payment down. I mean, there's certain criteria that they're going to have to meet, credit
Mm-hmm.
score, income limits, right? So those all fall into place. I don't know if you can use both of them. I would think that if you talk to a really good lender, and we have preferred lenders that we offer up and suggest to our clients, and they can work with them to find the best package, like what works best for all of their, criteria that they need to hit.
Okay.
But I do
Okay.
think it offers up a good opportunity for folks to get in a house and not have to rent, because there's so many benefits to owning your own home and building wealth. And, if we can get more people in that place, I mean, that's just a benefit for them in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So has any of your clients specifically had any experience with using either one of the programs?
Mine have not, but both of
Okay.
those programs, I know the NC Home Mortgage one of my preferred lenders offers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Like I said, just doing some research in that market, I saw those, and I'm starting to see not only see about those, but hear about them more often.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just now paying more and more attention to, real estate within specific markets. But who's to know, these down payment assistance programs may have been around for a while. Maybe they didn't offer as much, or maybe they had stricter, guidelines. But now I feel like I'm hearing about them more. Like entities and they're putting them out there more because they are pushing home ownership in every market for the most part. So
Yeah.
I just want to bring that up because I saw it, and I just wanted to see what your experience and just what your thoughts are on those in general.
Yeah. And I think
Could
that, oh, sorry.
No, please.
Yeah, I think more and more lenders are figuring out ways to come up with certain packages and offerings like that because they
Mm-hmm.
know, like, I think with interest rates too, there's a lot of first time home buyers that
Yep.
have just kind of taken a step back and been like, and maybe now's not the time, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of buyers that don't know about those packages. So I think it's great that we can share those, and that I try to shout it from the rooftops to some of my clients that, hey, if you don't know what you don't know, so if you don't
Correct.
ask, you don't know what's out there that you can take advantage of, instead of just being nervous and scared and reading the news and now's not the right time. Hey, let's talk to our lenders because they might have something that will work for you and benefit you. So
That is 100%. You
yeah.
touched on something that I always preach when I'm end up doing the show, and I say, as a consumer, a home buyer, or a seller, there's a lot of parts that you just don't know that you don't know. Some things that you know that you don't know, but there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know that you don't know. And you
Right.
wouldn't know it unless that professional brings it up
Yeah.
to you. So I'm glad you said that. I preach
Yeah.
that all the time. Um, I see you have experience with a certain situation with funds at closing. Can you provide guidance on the best practices for handling funds at closing, considering the potential variations in the final amount and any recent challenges or delays experienced with wire transfers yourself?
Yeah. Well, I always say no transaction is the same.
Mm-hmm.
No process is the same. As much as you try to, things happen. And I've seen people lose a job on the day before closing, or,
Ooh.
the lender's got to figure something out. And that's why it's really good to have partners with your lenders
Mm-hmm.
and good communication, because some of them can figure it out. Like there's a way. I've also had people that have been using much smaller banks, not the big banks, and they want to wire the money. And they found out that that bank requires authorization in person. So the day before
Mm.
closing, they've had to drive to Florida, do the authorization, and then come back to make it, or 2 days before closing, and then come back to make it to the closing table. And so I always remind buyers in the very beginning, hey, check what bank you're going to use, check their requirements on wires, because it may
Mm.
not be as easy as just logging on and wiring like we think. But I've had a lot of different situations. I've had a guy in Afghanistan buying a house, and I never had a chance to meet him except over Zoom. And we're on USAA, and he's wiring the money. So you got to know what the requirements are of the banks that you're working with and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. And I think, a big thing you also have to worry about is wire fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so big that it's in our standard contract in North Carolina in bright red letters. It's a big box of warning. So we work really hard on our team to just make sure that everybody knows, like, we would never reach out to you. You will never get an email from us. You won't get an email from the lender. You won't get an email from the closing attorney saying, here's the wiring direct instructions. We do everything by phone and talk to them and have them call attorney's
Okay.
office so they know, because they don't know until we tell them. And sometimes they're in the process and they're like, oh, so and so wired me these instructions, and you're like, don't know. So we tell them up front, don't ever wire anything unless we call you on the phone. We will
Thank
never
you.
email you. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a subject I don't think we've covered on the closing table before. That process of wire fraud and just the dangers of making sure you have the correct funds, make sure you have them in the correct method and everything. Because that's closing day type of
That's
stuff that
cutting
you
it
need.
close.
Man, I'm just saying, like it can make the whole thing crumble or get it pushed back, which could be a domino effect in itself.
Right.
So when I saw that you had that experience, I said, "Oh, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it." So thank you for sharing that perspective.
Yeah, you never know what's going to come up in a transaction, so you got to always be able to pivot too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, not only have you excelled in luxury sales, but you also have a strong background in coaching other agents on working on sellers and establishing boundaries, that work-life balance and all of that, which I found very interesting, by the way. Can you share a particular experience where setting clear boundaries made a significant difference in maintaining a healthy work-life balance?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess in real estate, when you're first starting your business, you're building a business, you're building relationships. It's easy to say yes to everything. And if you continue to say yes to everything, you're saying no to other things. And it's hard. It's a hard balance because you are building your business. You want to be successful. You are trying to meet new clients. And, I have always coached agents to say, like, most often individual agents like myself, you might be working with 7 to 10 clients at a time, whether they're buyers or sellers. And you have to protect your time, because if you're constantly working on their schedule, when they can see a house, after their gym appointment, after their dentist appointment, you're flitting around like a butterfly to all these different people, but you're not getting anything. You're not taking care of yourself either. So I really try to, within reason, try to work with meeting clients with how it works in my schedule, because I also have my family time and I also enjoy working out, and that's a must have for me. So those kind of things, they're really important. And I don't want to miss a soccer game and a baseball game and a hockey game for my boys, because they play all those sports. So it's really working on guarding your time. And you don't have to say no to a client. You can just say, hey, my next available appointment is, and that's okay. But they know, they came to work with you because you're good, and they know that you're good. And so you don't want to just say no and, them feel hurt or that they're less important. They're very important. They're very important to our business. But when you work with multiple clients at a time, you just really have to time block and work on your calendar and set the right expectations with your clients up front. Yeah.
Well said. Said. I definitely obviously couldn't have said it any better, but that speaks a lot, because like you said, you're running off somebody else's schedule for the most part, which I couldn't imagine. Like, I mean, as a parent, you're already running on like your kid's schedule, but then you're running on your kid's schedule. In your position, you're running on your family schedule, but then you got to run on someone else's schedule. So then you got to try to make sure you're being as efficient as possible on that in between time, whether that's giving more time to your family or doing the in between jobs for your current clients. But 7 to 10 clients, Kelly, that's crazy. I think I've heard from a few agents, maybe 5 or 6, but 7 to 10.
Well, you never know. Like, certain things happen. I mean, I'm an individual agent, and I've had 10 houses under contract at once. So, but then other times there might be 3 clients that are, you don't always have active clients right at that moment, right?
Okay.
They might decide, okay, I changed my mind. Now I'm going to be 3 months out. I'm going to wait 3 months. So full package, you look at it that way.
I love that. Thank you. But 10 and 1, doing great work out there. I see you, Kelly.
We try.
Slight brag. There you go. Talking. I love that.
But the important goal is to remind agents that there are glass balls that you are juggling. And once one falls, you're not going to get it back. So, you know, you want to make sure you know what your priorities are in running your business and anything else that you have that is important to you in one of those glass balls.
I like that. I like that. I like that analogy. I like that right there. Continuing to speak on the luxury market, especially dealing with high-end new construction, which is a very unique niche, by the way. Could you narrate a memorable story from your experience in buying lots, designing multi-million-dollar homes, and the satisfaction that comes with delivering these luxury properties to your clients?
Yeah, so I partner up with a luxury custom builder like Wolf Custom Builders, and they build maybe 1 to 2 houses a year. It just depends on, they're very lot specific of where they're going to build. Most of the time it's in Raleigh. And so it is about finding the right lot, developing that lot, what type of house is the right fit for the neighborhood. You know, what price point do you want to put in? I mean, it's really a pretty detailed thought process. It's at least when you have a smaller custom builder like this. Like if they're only doing 1 to 2, like you want to do it right.
Well, for sure.
You know, and just deciding on what are some of the current trends in the market that are not too trendy, right? You want things that are going to be long-standing and in for a while in terms of design trends. But I love it. I mean, to see it go from trees, you know, in the lot to finished product. Sometimes we put the house on the market a little bit earlier than when it's finished, but most of the time they're all spec homes. And, you know, to see it come to fruition is, you know, a good satisfaction. So.
Oh, I could only imagine,
It's
especially
fun.
being there from a blank lot all the way to seeing
Yeah.
a multi-million-dollar home, $1 million, $500,000 home. I
Yeah.
would still be amazed. I went back in high school. My curriculum was architecture, so we would
yeah.
literally draw out how floor plans to homes, and
Yeah.
I could only imagine going from that, just like taking something abstract from your mind to something right there on paper, and then taking it to actually building it. Like that process is just amazing to me. So I know that experience for you has to be like memorable.
Yeah.
To
And
say
it's
the
fun.
least.
It is fun. And it's, you know, the finished projects, sometimes we stage them, sometimes we don't need to because they will move so fast. Sometimes we put them on the market before, and then you have a buyer that might like it, but they want to make some tweaks. And that's okay too. You know, we usually will hire a designer to kind of do the color scheme and kind of make the design choices for us too. So
Correct.
yeah.
I want to talk about you building strong teams and the value of it, because I see you put a lot of emphasis on that, especially during challenging times. Now, I did see that you lost your younger brother and father in 2022. My
Yeah.
condolences, first
Thank
and
you.
foremost.
Thank you.
But can you talk about how, like, the importance of having the right partners and staff
Yes.
actually help you deal with that and get through it, and share a specific instance where your team support played a critical role during that period?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that it was a pretty unexpected and tragic event. They were a month apart. So my being prepared, I was not prepared for that. And we had, you know, I have my wonderful assistant, Emily, who does a lot of my marketing, a lot of my closing, and she's also licensed. And I had houses under contract. And during those times, I mean, I just had to give it to her to be like, finish it out. You know, I couldn't work. And so it reminded me, and it gave me a experience to tell others that you need to be prepared as business owners. We are not always going to be everything's not going to be going, you know, unicorns and rainbows all the time. It's not. And so you have to be prepared for those moments where you're going to fall to your knees and you need somebody to pick you up. And so I try to tell agents, like, if they don't if you don't have any type of assistant or closing coordinator help, find some, or find a colleague that can be your person in the event that you know that they will take it from start to finish successfully, because you don't want to lose all your business. And so building that foundation in the beginning or as you start ramping up is really important, because I wouldn't have had a year that I had in terms of sales transactions if I didn't have Emily. Right. So I think when you can find somebody that can do the work better than you, then you found a partner that you want to keep forever. So, and I mean, that's who I found. Like, you want to find somebody that can do it better than you. And she does a lot of my stuff. I mean, marketing, closing, coordination, it's what she loves. So I think making sure you have a solid foundation and thinking about that, agents thinking about that in the beginning, because you don't always think about that. You're hustling, you're grinding in the beginning. Correct. You're building your business, and you got to be prepared.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Find your Emily.
Find your Emily. That's right.
Find your Emily. I love that. Hey, that was so well said. And thank you for being vulnerable and actually sharing that with us. That is very, very key, because it can't happen to anybody. We're all going to lose people that we love, and it can stop everything right in your tracks, right in the tracks. So how are you going to deal with that, especially as a business owner?
Right. You don't get vacation time.
Exactly. I'm reading this book.
Living.
Please.
Like, this puts your food on the table. So if you don't have that foundation to keep it going and help you in those times that when you need it, then it's going to be a struggle. So.
It's going to be a long day, a long process. And I was reading this book or listening to this audio book called E-Myth. And it's basically talking about entrepreneurs and or small business owners, and what we really want to get out of our own business essentially is to be able to have it operate without us being there.
Right.
And that's a prime example of, you still have an assist. It's essentially about creating systems, but you created that system to where if you needed to step away for a moment because life happened, it will still be able to operate at its full capacity or efficient enough for you to, it's still to produce results without you being there. So I'm so glad you spoke on that. Yeah. And once again, condolences on your loss, but I think a lot of us can learn from that story right there.
Yeah. Your clients, none of my clients knew, and they didn't need to know anything that was going on in my life. Emily just picked it up and took it home. So it was
seamless.
Good. Yeah.
Oh man. Thank you, Emily. Gotta shout her out. Well, hey, thank you again, Kelly, for pulling up a chair to the closing table. We appreciate you so much. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, I obviously, like I said before, I handle the Raleigh market, Triangle area. So, if anybody needs help finding a home, selling a home, our team would love to help. We've been doing this 10 years. So you can find me online. You can find me on social media. Search Kelly Cherry.
There it is. Thank you again, Kelly. We appreciate that. And for our YouTube audience watching right now, if you've gotten to this point in the video with me saying this current sentence, do us both a favor and hit that like button, please, and thank you. We appreciate that. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please do the same. Give us a like, 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Kelly, I'd like to leave our audience with a question before they leave the chat. So this is for you, audience. What are some pros and cons of using a down payment assistance program if you have used it before? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.